Well, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Want to get on here and give a little update on the Ram 1500R, my truck, and wanted to talk about its performance and reliability so far, I guess. And I had done one of these not too long ago, but recently I took it in for service. There's a couple videos up about that. So I kind of wanted to get on and give my impressions after 14,481 miles of ownership. You watch some of the videos out there on YouTube about the Ram products versus the Toyota products, and Ford and Chevy, GMC, all that good stuff. And you don't hear a lot about Nissan, though. And everybody has their own opinions, of course. Me, particularly, I'm not a brand loyalist. I buy what I like based on, I guess, the options that are in, appearance. Appearance, for me, is always the first thing. I mean, I would think that'd be true for anybody, except for maybe somebody who's buying a truck for pure utility. Then I would think you'd be looking for reliability and price. Oh, here we have a jaywalker going to walk right in the middle of traffic. Nice. Anyway, the first thing that attracts me always is appearance, and I still think, and I have looked, that the Ram R is the best looking truck on the road. The Ram product in general, I think, is the best looking product or truck on the road. They've really worked hard, I think, to stay modern and update their products in a way that stays current, if you will. Most of the other trucks that are on the road, I'm looking at a Chevy right beside me, are pretty boxy, square, not a lot of curves and lines. And I know a lot of you would probably say, well, it's a truck, man. But I take pride in the vehicles that I drive, and I want them to look the best that they can look. And again, I think the Ram product has really stepped up to do that, and I think you're going to see that a lot more in the other brands. They're not going to be so square and bland looking like they are now. Ford is doing a little better, I will say. They are changing their products to be a little more appealing, a little better eye candy, if you will. As far as the reliability and the performance of my truck, I haven't had any major issues. There have been a couple little warranty cosmetic type things that I've talked about before, so I won't go into them now. Check out the other videos. But nothing major mechanically or performance wise. This truck has plenty of power. It's a 5.7 Hemi. I believe it's 395 horsepower. I would like to see a little more horsepower in this truck, and it's not really because it needs it. I'm never really lacking, but I just want a little more oomph. It is what I would consider to be a sport truck. They call it kind of a hybrid on-off road. I think they kind of put that out there maybe a little bit to try to compete with maybe the Raptor a little. I don't believe it's any competition for the Raptor. The Raptor is a whole different animal designed for off-road with the ability to drive it on-road, I guess. I'd say the Ram R is kind of the opposite of that. It is a road truck designed to be able to be taken off-road if you want to. One thing that really stands out in the Ram 1500 is the air suspension. This is by far the most comfortable version of any truck I've ever had, and I've had several, from smaller to mid-size, what I'd call mid-size, i.e. the Nissan Frontier, to full-size. And that would encompass both just single cab and both crew and quad cab versions. So I've had them all, and this is by far, like I said, probably the best, smoothest riding that I've ever had. Now, it is funny in this truck because while I would say that that's true for the front two seats. I have been told by passengers that the rear two seats are not real comfortable, and you can feel a bit more road bumps and things like that in those rear seats, which I find kind of strange. But I guess it kind of depends on where the center line, if you will, of the truck is, and kind of how they designed it. It seems to me that they kind of took it into account to give the front passengers the most comfort and amenities, and then kind of left off a little bit in the back, at least from what people that have ridden with me have said. These are their opinions. I don't ride in the back of the truck, so quite frankly, it doesn't bother me. But I wouldn't hesitate in taking this truck on a long trip, cross country, whatever. I think it would be fine. Addressing the technology and the amenities in it, you know, unless you're a sunroof person or a cooled seat person, I don't know what else you could ask for in this truck. And everything in it has performed well. I had one hiccup when I first, right around when I first got the truck. I got in, I turned on the ignition, and I had a screen and a gauge cluster failure. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if things just didn't sync or what, but when I drove it to where I was going, turned it off, turned it back on, those issues had disappeared. So I haven't had any issues since. When I took it in recently for service, I did mention to them about software updates, thinking maybe there was some kind of an update that I was lacking, but they told me at that time that there were no current updates for the truck. Kind of odd, since there were a ton before, but maybe those were Uconnect updates, which I did on my own. I don't know. And speaking of that, the Uconnect system is awesome. It is the best, probably closely rivaled by the Corvette that I have, but the best system that I've had in any vehicle ever. It works seamlessly and does everything that I want it to do. You know, I like the reaction times on the touchscreen as well. You know, some touchscreens I've had, and this might be where the Corvette is slightly lacking, aren't as reactive as I think they should be. In other words, there have been a couple of occasions in the Corvette where I've touched the screen to get to wherever I want to go or whatever, and it didn't work. I had to touch it a little bit harder. So possibly the tactile sensors, I guess, in the Corvette are not quite as sharp as they are in the Ram, but it does work very, very well. Very seldom do I have to hit that screen more than one time to navigate to where I want to be, either changing radio stations, changing functions, pulling up the camera, activating the phone, selecting people to call. I mean, you name it, and everything just works seamlessly on this system. So I think they've really nailed it as far as that goes. Cosmetically, that's where it might fall a little bit. The problems that I have had, the minor cosmetic problems that I mentioned, were on basically trim work. The tailgate cap, had to have that replaced because it was cracked, as I mentioned in a different video. Excuse me. And the driver's rear side fender flare coming unglued, which is seems to be a common problem in the Ram truck. I haven't heard it on any others. As far as the Fords and the Chevys and all that, I'm sure they probably do all their fender flares the same way, as far as clips and adhesive to hold the top part of the flare over the wheel well. That's where mine failed. But Ram replaced it. No argument, no issues, no excuses. I had told them, it was funny when I was there, that it's a common problem. It's talked about frequently, both on my channel and on forums and stuff. So they're well aware of it. Again, no issues in getting it replaced, and they did have plenty of stock to do it, which to me means they're prepared and do know of the issue. So Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, give you guys an update. Everything on this truck, the Ram R, has held up very well. Oh, and including the interior. You know, I have heard some people complain about wear on the seats. I've even seen a couple of examples of tears in the seats. I haven't had any of those kind of issues. Excuse me. It's allergy season. So for me, it looks brand new inside. There are no issues on the interior of my truck. So again, thank you for watching. Please click subscribe if you haven't before. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a good day. Bye.
You